All right. We should be live here on YouTube, everybody. Hopefully we've got a bunch of Twitterinians following us over here.
That's not a proper term.
Yeah, it's Twitterinians.
Twitteridians?
It's well, I'm trying to get that started. Actually, I don't
Tweeters?
know what they're tweeters. A bunch of tweeters. In fact, let me double check, make sure we're live, and then we'll go into it here.
You live, man. X-ray vision. Let me check. I feel like we always screw this up. David Feeder, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. I'm doing great.
That's great.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man.
There we go. It says live now. Okay, so now I'm gonna copy and put this in the chat. The link in the chat, and we'll just get rolling. So awesome. Welcome to Tech Talk Live with RagstoRiches, David Feeder, and Hexray Vision, coming to you live from our respective studios. Except for David's coming live from the NSA spyware center, apparently.
The validator data center.
All right. Yeah, and obviously you guys don't need this, but there's the link in our chat, so I'm gonna throw that up on Twitter and get us started, Dave. What's new? Happy New Year to my Hexicans. I'm very, very excited for 2022, as I'm sure all of us are, especially with the 2 sacrifice phases, going on. This is some exciting times. What have you guys been up to?
Yeah, man. Doing good. Happy New Year. First thing I just want to say, I want to apologize to both of you guys for my drunken misconduct on the last episode. I apologize. I am embarrassed. And I also want to apologize to Jexa and Jesse, the pit boss from the Liquid Loans team. I was drunken misconduct, and I've talked to them both privately, and we've buried the hatchet, and they've accepted my apology because I feel terrible. So I just wanted to get that out there first and foremost before we begin.
Well, I think that's really nice of you to come out and apologize. From my point of view, it wasn't too bad. We were asking some really direct questions that us as Hexicans we're a spoiled group. I got a chance to talk to him a little bit more on Freedom TV, and so we did an interview there. And backstage, I was telling him, look, you might think that some of the questions we're asking are things that we should be able to figure out ourselves, but we're a spoiled group. The Hexicans have Richard Hart spoon feeding us genius knowledge day and night, and so we're spoiled, and we do hold things to a very high standard. So yeah.
I've got a different opinion
on my end. Go for it, Rags.
Yeah, David, I don't think you need to apologize, man. That was a badass stream, and it was badass because we got a lot of freaking questions answered that might not have happened if you hadn't been hammered out of your mind. So I'm actually pretty stoked about it. If you look at the comments of that stream, did you look at the comments?
I haven't yet. I didn't even watch it.
Dude, people were like, "This was the best stream I've ever freaking heard." So, David, I mean, you could punch me in the mouth, and as long as we were both drunk, I'd still be your friend the next day. I don't give a damn. That was light work, man. That was nothing.
Yeah, and I didn't think I attacked Jesse personally, and I wasn't trying to be an asshole, and I was just trying to talk technical questions about the project that everybody wants to know. So, but it was definitely unfiltered and raw. I felt a Richard coming out of me. So that's not usually my style. I have to drink a lot to get there. So
one of the things that I said, I was like, well, let's air it out. Let's get it out and open. Let's ask the questions. I'm glad we did. It was good, man.
Totally. And since then,
nobody's hurt.
Yeah. Yep. And I talked to Jesse and Jexa, and those guys are fine. And I will say, since that happened, they've released pictures of the interface, and they even have the audits from Liquidity, which is this, the project on Ethereum that they're forking. And they've also promised that they're going to be doing their own audits and paying for audits as once their code is finished. So they've to a lot of the complaints I may have had or questions I had, they've actually given data since then. So
Yeah.
well played. And I love everybody on their team, and I think they're all honest and trying to do a good job. And I don't think there's no malintent in the Liquid Loans project whatsoever. I think it's 100% legit. You know, I just hope the audits go great. Let's see some audits and let's see the code, and let's give it a shot and see if it works. You know?
Yeah. Hex-Ray Vision's like, another 4,000 views on that one. This is gonna be great.
No, that the views there are, I think I got more views on that video than all my others combined.
Oh,
Yeah,
And
that was
it
good.
was definitely, it was the stream that I said the least on, so take that with you
I mean,
what you will.
drama sells, but I don't like drama, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to
Um,
Terrafin, Goose Inc., Nikki Buck, you know, Bit Finesse is in the comments here.
I love Bifiness.
He's saying hi to his ginger brethren.
Love you, man. I can't wait to meet him someday, man. We're gonna have me and him. We're gonna have a fun time.
Randy in Georgia, Nicholas Singh, where is it? There we go. Renob K said
Boner Kid,
he's
where's
here.
he at?
He's here. Yeah,
what was
and
that
people want us
question
to,
from, Singh?
yeah. Some of these people that haven't seen that stream, it's a 4-hour stream.
Oh, I'll go get it. I'll go get it and share it with the world.
Yeah,
Are you okay
yeah.
with that,
Share it
David?
out. Share it out.
Yeah, whatever sells.
Yep.
Dude, you just got to put David in a cage, feed him some whiskey, rattle him up, and just freaking let him loose, man.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's got red hair. That's what happens to me.
I will audit the shit out of things. If you give me beer, yeah, I will get to the bottom of things real quick.
Unapologetic. Love it.
Awesome.
All
Well,
right,
let's get into the validators and the delegation that you've been playing around with on testnet. I'm sure you've been poking holes and practicing and running that stuff on the testnet. What have you figured out this week for us?
So far so good. It's pretty slick. It's pretty cool. And I do have one thing I found out in my testing that I don't think I've heard anywhere, and you just have to play with it to find it. So I'll explain that as well. So start at the beginning. So my validator is up and running. I've got one with, it's the Discourse Syndicate validator. So because I'm teamed up with those guys we've built one, and I talked to the devs and they gave me the test pulse for the deposit, and I have the server up and running and it was ready to mine the blocks. And then I go to the staking website and I register it, and boom, it's live and working, and it's been mining ever since. That's been about a week or a couple days. So that part works. Getting validators registered, fully functional, and awesome. And then when you do that, the validators can pick how much is a slider, how much of the fees do they give to their delegators, to the people who vote for them. So that's when you set all that up. So that works too. There's some people on the testnet who are actually giving away 100% of the fees. The people running the servers are taking none of the money and they're giving it all back to people who vote for them. And you can see it right on that page. I think it's staking.v2.testnet.pulsechain.com. And yeah, so pretty cool.
How is that economically viable?
It's a test net, so it's the coins are literally worthless anyway. Yeah, this is monopoly money. So yeah, totally, this is the time to do that. And it works. So that's cool. Now, if you're a delegator, if you're just a person who you sacrificed for Pulse Chain and you got a bunch of Pulse and now you want to vote for somebody, it works. It's great. You can vote for multiple delegators or validators. Sorry, you can pick more than one server and you can spread your staking. And here's how it really works. Here's the one thing I have found out. Here's like the hot tip. What you can vote for a server, right? And then you have to wait until the next block rotation. And it says in the bottom left corner, it's like every day. You have to wait till the tick over the next day, and then your vote is active. Once your vote is active, you have to wait 24 hours until you can vote again or remove your vote. And it's 24 hours from the time you do it. So if you vote for a server at 1 p.m., and then let's say that server an hour later, he starts getting felonies and misdemeanors and he's like he's getting slashed and you're not making money. And you're like, oh man, why did I vote for this guy? He kind of sucks. You you have to wait 24 hours until you can pull your stake out of that guy and like unvote for them. But as soon as you pull your vote, after you wait 24 hours and pull your vote, then you can vote again for anybody else. So it's really like you can vote once per day, basically. You have to wait a day cooldown. And that's what I've figured out.
Awesome. It's good
Yep.
info.
Awesome. I'm sharing the screen right now. This is the GitLab screen right here. And then you just go down to Pulse Chain Net Testnet right here and click on that, correct? And then this will
Correct.
This, if anyone hasn't set up the testnet yet, this is the instructions to set up your testnet on Metamask right here. And so this is exactly what David's been testing out.
Yep. And if you keep going down, should be the staking page. You should be able to see that too with the link.
Okay, scroll down here. Perform rollback. Here we go. So here's the validator registration, rotation, and staking. And so are these instructions to do that? Or it just explains how it works?
Yeah, and there was a link up above. It's just like blue text.
This one right here.
Yeah, that'll bring you to the actual
Validator and
website.
staking UI.
Yep, that's the one.
So you go to this. This is a website right here. Let's pull that up. Oh, that pulls that. Yeah, that takes us to the stake.v2.testnet.pulsechain.com/connect. Yep. So this is where I would connect my MetaMask to this, correct?
Correct. Yep. You do have to connect first before you can even see it. Yep. Correct.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. So if you guys want to go on and experience what he's talking about right there, that's how you get to it.
So what do you guys think about this PulseX sacrifice, fellas?
I think it rhymes completely with the last sacrifice that we did. You know, we had that crazy run up from 8 cents to 22 cents. And then once the whales got their allocation and they took their spot, then it was just a free fall. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you can watch these whales dump in their Ethereum and dump in their HEX and their stable coins. And then you see some mysterious $4 million sell orders, you know, just or a handful of sell orders equaling about $4 million, just shoving the price right back into the Stone Age. So it's kind of like, well, that was it. And I see a lot of people on Twitter right now saying, should I wait for it to come back up? Should I do this? I don't think it's going to come back up for, especially between now and January 10th.
So that's like, so the play is they can get their sack in, they can sell price, they can bottom it out, and then they can buy back to get their copies. Is that the play?
Well, not just buying back, but I mean, people are freaking out because like you're seeing these people sell like 10 million HEX, but what's 10 million HEX out of 600 million HEX? Mm-hmm. You know, they're happy to sacrifice some of these, and don't get me wrong, some people may need money for taxes. Some people may just freak out and want to panic sell. That's a possibility too, but I think it's more likely that these whales are sacrificing a small portion of their HEX to push down the price and keep their points high on the leaderboard. Because that's kind of what we saw during the Pulse sacrifice. And I think that's what we're seeing now. And even Richard Hart said, you know, he said, I think the best 2 days are the first 2 days of the sacrifice. And so far, he's been right.
So where are we at now? We've got almost 270 million sacrificed, of which 164 million is HEX and 68 million is Ethereum, followed by USDC 22, and then Tether 7. So I think people are saying that we're actually on track. We're ahead of schedule as compared to the Pulse Chain sacrifice with total amount of money sacrificed. Is that correct? I haven't checked.
Yeah, I think we got quite a bit more now on, what is this, day 3 or something like that?
Yeah. Is there a website we could go to for that? I wonder. David looked like he's on it. I saw his ginger brain ticking.
I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah. PulseXLead.com.
PulseXLead.com.
Yep.
Yeah, and that'll show you your ranks. Bitfinesse says, so the days aren't separated by daily rollover like the Hex contract. It goes off a 24-hour timer that begins at the time of delegation.
That is exactly correct. Yep. When you're voting, it's a 24-hour cooldown for you personally. Yep.
So you're setting the timer personally.
Yep.
Awesome.
Correct.
Awesome. Crypto Freedom says, Happy New Year's, Hexicans. Thank you for the hard work and great information. All the best. Thank you, Crypto Freedom.
So far, 24,000 wallets. Which, yeah, what did we have? 64,000 for Pulse. Was that correct?
That sounds about right. Yep.
So we have 1/3 about, and we're not even a third of the way through this thing yet. 1/3 of the amount of Pulse. I think one of the big questions people were asking was the amount of money that could potentially go into to PulseX with regards to the lengthening period of the sacrifice phase, the FOMO factor for people who didn't go into Pulse as much as they wanted, the amount of money that we're going to have initially for PulseX. Is that going to be kind of a negative pressure in terms of the ROI, the initial ROI? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Did you hear Trayvon say that? Because I heard him say something similar to that.
I've not from him. Heard it from a couple folks. Might have come from him though.
Yeah, I think even in Richard's last stream, he actually I think addressed that. And it's like you don't know. You don't know. Is it better to have less people in a smaller pool, or is it better to just have a bunch of people that have put in a bunch of money, and then there's even more, like Metcalfe's law, like more FOMO and more spreading of the word. It's like impossible to measure, though. We won't know.
Yeah, Lawler's Production asks why would sacrificing Hex push down the price? It doesn't. That's not what we're talking about. Sacrificing Hex usually pulls it off the market and helps the price. We're talking about people selling down the price of Hex right now. That's pushing down the price.
Yeah,
and then
give me personally, like I sacked half my, like as soon as Richard announced it, I sacked half of what I planned to sack. And now, I'm sitting on liquid Hex on the other half, and the price is going down and down. It's like now you're playing the waiting game. Is it going to go back up before the 10th? I don't know.
Or do you just hold and get copies of Hex instead of sacking?
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting a copy of all my staked Hex, so
right.
I personally feel comfortable with my position already in that, but. So this is just me personally, but I'm going to try to run it out till the 10th and see if it goes up before then. See if we can snag in the last like near 30-cent price. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I really think that in terms of long-term viability, I think the best answer to this question is we need a lot of people in there because I think that it's going to boil down to the adoption of these copies that we're getting from Ethereum. The more people that we have on board, the better, because we're going to have more exposure to those copies, and there's going to be a demand and need arise for those. So I'm willing to.
I agree.
I'm willing to hang out for a couple years as long as we can get that usage and get that on ramping. That's important.
Totally. And with a coin like this, because there is no staking, when it first comes out, I expect it to launch higher than everybody who sacked. So you're instantly in the money, and then it's going to start to dump. And then the question is, all right, are you going to dump and try to catch the dip? Or are you going to hold through the first dip, maybe even buy more if you have more dry powder for maybe another paycheck 2 months from now? And then we get through that first dip and off you go. That's how a lot of this stuff usually happens in the past. So
I think out of the 7 dexes I looked up, the average decline after launch was about 60 to 90 days. And that gets all the weak hands out. Once we find that bottom, then it takes off big time.
Bingo.
Big time.
Bingo. You got it. That's it. That's the chart play. Yep.
Yeah. So I guess you could, if you're expecting a bunch of people to sell their stacks initially, then you just want to cost average in probably, because you're not going to necessarily find that bottom. That'd
exactly
be the best play.
I 100% agree. Yeah, because you'll never know when the bottom is. So
you're not going to.
DCA once you're in. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the play. And
And it
in the
would-
meantime, you get to vote with the DAO. So
Yeah.
we get to choose which of those PRC20 pairs are incentivized, like hex versus ehex.
Yeah, what do you think's going to be? I've had that question pop up. I've got opinions on it. What do you think's going to be the most incentivized pair or pairs?
I think there's gonna be. I mean, me personally, I think there's gonna be 4 or 5 pairs that should get the highest rewards, and then maybe some pairs below the top 5 that'll get maybe less.
Mm-hmm.
I want hex versus hex. I want USDC versus hex. I want USDC versus pulse. USDC versus pulse hex. Hex versus pulse and hex versus pulse X. So maybe it's even more than 5. It's like 7 or 8. Those are the top pairs that I see happening.
And then out of the non-Richard Hart projects, what are some of the top pairs or top coins that you would be targeting there to on-ramp people?
Like DAI, Tether, USDC.
So stable.
Stable coins, yeah, those are the most used crypto, other than like ETH and Hex and Bitcoin. Yeah, stable coins. Yeah.
What do you guys? What about you? What do you guys think is going to be? Which community do you think is really going to take to Pulse Chain that people don't see coming? Do you guys have any ideas about that?
Yeah, I have like a couple speculation bets. They're complete speculation. I have
Yeah, of course.
this is wild. Like this is what I would bet on if you asked me. Something like Gods Unchained, some kind of like trading card NFT game, which is I actually tried it. It's actually it's like a Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering cards. Pulse Chain is going to save projects like that because at their website, it's not going to cost a damn fortune to buy those packs of cards in Pulse Chain, like for transactions. So I expect like projects like that are clever and smart, they'll make the transition.
Do you think we'll see any major projects come on board?
Well, what would you consider like a major project?
Well, like something like I did a video on Polygon, and I kind of learned about how Polygon operates, and they've got their own chain, and then they've got Polygon on Ethereum, and the simple fact that Polygon's on Ethereum, and based on their fee structure and what they're trying to solve, trying to allow people to be able to spin up their own projects really, really quick, just super like turnkey. I just don't understand why they would even keep half their project on Ethereum if the fees are going to be so outrageous. So a project like Polygon, something to that nature, and then any type, I guess, heavily traded coin. And you're looking for coins in that instance have high volatility, I guess you would say. But yeah, so those to answer your question, kind of something like that caliber, that ballpark.
I think it'd be interesting to see a lot of these people that were trying to put real estate on the blockchain, or REITs or trusts or insurance on the blockchain. I mean, a lot of people have tried doing that on Ethereum and these other chains, but they just haven't taken off. So I think we're going to see a couple more experiments when it comes to, legal stuff in the real world, where they're going to try to bridge and overcome that problem of the oracles and get stuff into the real world. I think that people will take a swing at that again with Pulse Chain working well.
Do you think lawyers and do deeds and houses, do they need like the blockchain though to be censorship resistant? Can't those guys use like a SQL database?
Oh, no. Blockchain's a horrible idea for the real world right now. But it doesn't keep people from FOMOing into the idea that, they see these institutions of law and real estate as, a ton of money. And so they FOMO in when you try to marry that with crypto. It's the promise coins and the FOMO and the white papers all over again saying, oh, we're going to bring the stock market onto the blockchain, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, similar to like the ICO craze in 2017, 2018. Like that'll probably happen on Pulse Chain. I would avoid most of that personally. but I think like Decentraland or Mana, I think virtual real estate in
Mana.
the metaverse, Pulse Chain will save that stuff, make it way more valuable. So like Mana is an ERC20 token you might want to gamble on if you're looking for copies. If you're looking for PRC20 copies, that might be cool. Mana's one of them for sure. You know, maybe those Axie Affinities, because that stuff's got a high gas cost and people love playing that game. You know, I got some other picks and stuff, but a lot of that volume in those projects, they're small compared to just trading. And you know, Pulse X alone is going to be like 90% of the gas fees on Pulse Chain for like the first year, right? Everybody's using it for penny 3-second swaps. That's the secret sauce that you're really coming for, and the mad gains. So
yeah, and I can also see some casinos coming on to Pulse because they can handle the transactions and people won't blow all their money on transaction fees. You know, back in the day, I was this big speculator on a coin called Fun, the Fun token.
Fun token. I remember Fun token.
And yeah, it looked like they were actually going to bring a casino to the blockchain, but they didn't.
The only one that I liked that was a legit decentralized, it was only one game. It was called Ether Roll. It still exists, but it's shut down, and it's an ERC20, and it's a dice rolling game. You can get, and I would love to see a Pulse version called Pulse Roll. Like, this is $1 million idea to somebody out there. PulseRoll.com. You fork Ether Roll, and you choose on a 100-sided die what number you want to roll or lower. So you pick your own odds and your own risk, and you gamble your pulse, and you roll this dice over and over. With the losers, all the money that goes into the treasury. And then if you own the Pulse Dice token, every 90 days you get your share of the casino's earnings based on how much of their token you hold. So like, you become like a casino holder. You become invested in the casino with their token. It's genius. So I hope shit like that comes.
Dude, Elizabeth Warren would be at your front stoop just knocking with the SWAT team.
Senator Karen, she can't do anything though. It's all on the blockchain.
I know.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and I mean, of course, the main risk of all these things is, do they have admin keys, right? Because someone could fork the Ether roll and then claim that they're going to pay you out a piece of the house's winnings, and then, you know, they always magically get hacked when people are waiting, you know, when there's a lot of money in there, right? So it goes back to the spoiled, awesome, you know, product that we have in Hex. Is we just have to let the code do what the code does. And yeah, the security in that is you can't really speak enough about how great it is to have locked finish, immutable code, and that's the standard I think we should hold everything to on Pulse Chain. And obviously we're going to get a bunch of crazy stuff on there, right?
Totally.
But that's the standard I hold a lot of stuff up to.
Yeah, if you don't need oracles or bridge, then you should always have a no admin key, fully decentralized smart contract. I completely agree.
Right. So now looking at the GitLab and the stuff that they're trying to get together for launch, have you seen any other bugs or any issues that they've been working on to bring us closer to launch on Pulse Chain?
Everything's actually been running pretty smooth since V2 has been up and they got the one issue worked out. I think actually right now most of the work is being done on Pulse X itself in order to get the decentralized exchange like on the test net, so we can just kind of play with it for free on the version 2. So I think we're waiting for that right now. Actually, I think so far the foundation's feeling, it's, you know, the concrete's kind of settling on the house. It's kind of drying out. It's feeling pretty sturdy so far.
Awesome.
But we don't have we don't have 33 validators yet though. There's only 22. So I'd like to see that fill up, and I'd like to see, I've been thinking about making more servers and just, oh fuck it, I'll make like 15 more validators. Fine. I want to see what happens when they're below that 33. If you're 34, 35 waiting in line, like, you know, I want to see that stuff in action. So we're not done yet, but no bugs yet.
Yeah, I was curious if one person could have multiple validators, run multiple. Guess they
Totally.
wouldn't
If you
know,
could,
right?
if you've got the Pulse deposit to do it, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Now, right now the devs control that, so you got to message them and they give you the money to do it. But when mainnet comes, whoever's got the money to do it can do it. So yeah, you could register as many validators as you want. Totally. I'm
When
shocked
do
there's
you,
only 22. I'm shocked. I can't believe there's not more. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
let's get some predictions on when you guys think Pulse Chain might go live.
March 1st.
I like the sound of that.
March
Might-
1st, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Was right there at the end of the sacrifice. And we got K4K in the comments. I sent him an invite if he wants to join us and talk shop.
Yeah, I just saw his interview with Crypto Harpy, which is fantastic.
Yeah. And then I think if they run into something that delays them after the 1st of March, then maybe we're looking at something like June at the latest, hopefully, knock on wood.
That's not bad. That means it only took 1 year from inception to delivery. That's half the time it took Hex. We waited 2 years for Hex.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember when he said when he introduced Hex, Richard Hart's guess was 6 months, I think. He was like, yeah, we should be able to get this code going in about 6 months. So we were all, waiting, and then 2 years later we were excited to finally have the launch of the adoption amplifier. So that was awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Fed will have my PLN.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You are the Fed, huh?
The new Fed. Yep.
That is
Taking
you.
over. Don't tell Jerome Powell. I'm coming for him.
Still alive.
Oh yeah, he's the ruler of the world. Of course he is.
Yeah. But you like I'd like to see on Pulse Chain, like, one of the things that Cardano's doing is they're targeting emerging markets because they say that those folks have the biggest need for some type of blockchain technology. They don't have built out infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. If we could target some of those emerging markets, if we could go into maybe portions of Africa, maybe portions of South America, other places, like they were given an example of putting an entire scholastic system, collegiate system for a country on the blockchain. They were talking about the advantages of that. Okay, cool. You can verify, people's credentials. You can verify that they have these diplomas, et cetera, et cetera. But in terms of finance, what's it do? Well, it cuts out a whole lot of overhead because you've got smart contracts performing much of these tasks rather than people. So that's one thing. The other thing is, as adoption occurs, and if you make this a blockchain project, it's actually, those tokens they're going to appreciate in value, and the government's not going to know what to do with that type of stuff, except they've got revenue coming in. They got revenue coming in because you've got a blockchain that's creating it for them. So I think that one of the next big iterations that we're going to see here, probably over the next 10 years or so, is that large scale private sector, big enterprise, and public sector being able to tokenize and being able to use the power of tokenizing to change a whole lot of things in terms of growth and all that. So Pulse Chain would be a prime target for folks that are trying to accomplish that, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you guys have any questions for us, throw them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them there. Other than that, you were talking earlier about the pairs that you think will be doing good. I think that the Pulse X and Pulse pair is going to be really hard to beat it right off the beginning, because everyone's going to get into those to get into everything else and to take advantage of all the volume and craziness that's going to hit the Pulse X exchange when it goes live. So I would say I'd start there with Pulse and Pulse X, and there's just take advantage of all of the volume and velocity going on there.
Who determines that initially? Because with traditional DAOs, it happens a different way than than what we're going to be doing here, right? Because we're not going to be issued that second token, and it's not going to be a voting token on the Pulse chain.
I think Pulse X that we're getting for the sacrifice, that is the voting token. This is the token that lets you vote. That's what you're sacrificing right now. This gives you the ability to vote. To my knowledge,
until some point in
what I
time
understand.
where it transitions to the second.
The second token is just a reward for liquidity providers.
Okay. So the DAO token is going to be a reward for locking up your Pulse X. Is that what you're saying, or for providing liquidity?
Like Pulse X is the DAO token. That's what we're sacrificing for. And then the second coin to come later, that's like reward token, and reward token is only given to people who put in like hex and p-hex in a pair. They get reward token, but all of us with Pulse X token, we vote for how much they get of that reward.
See, traditionally, yeah, and traditionally I thought that DAO tokens, that second token, was a reward for stakers, but because they're staking and they received that was actually one vote. One token was one vote on different chains. Thought that's how that, but it's not this way in Pulse X. I don't think.
Yeah, I think Pulse. Yeah, correct. Yes, Pulse X is the voting token.
Yeah.
Bitfinesse, out of the 33 validators, what determines which validator rolls transactions in the next block? Is there still a competition? There's not a competition. It's actually like everybody takes a turn. It goes around in a ring. So it's like poker. It's like everybody goes in order. If you're not there when it's your turn, when the buck comes to you and it's your turn to play your cards, if you're not there to mine the block, that's when you get slashed and misdemeanored and felonied. Then there's a race between the other ones who can answer it first. And then one of them is just like selected basically. And then they win the block instead of the one who's offline. And then it keeps going. So that's how it works.
Awesome. And then Mudhog says, you're saying pairing up Hex and Pulse pairs would be less risky since we're bullish on those, which, I think it's great to be paired up on two that you both think are going up, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't say less risky, like, because one may go up way more than the other, and now you've got impermanent loss, and you're stuck with the one that didn't go up as much. But I think that those pairs will be incentivized the most and are going to get the most reward token given to them for sure.
Right. And thoughts on impermanent loss. So basically impermanent loss is if the value of the coins that you're providing liquidity for drop against, say, the US dollar or the other coins in the ecosystem, and it's impermanent because you haven't taken your liquidity out yet, right? That's why it's impermanent. But the second you pull your liquidity, if it's down, then it becomes permanent loss, right?
Correct. So yeah.
And so when you provide liquidity, you're betting that you're going to make more money off the fees than you are off of just holding the coin and riding the appreciation of the coin. It's the way I've always looked at it.
Pretty much. Because if like Hex is $1 and you got US dollar coin and you put them both in, but now the price of Hex goes up to $2, and then like when you go to pull out, you just get 2 USDC. You don't get to keep the Hex. Somebody else bought that. That's the impermanent loss. You're stuck with the shittier coin. Somebody else ran off with your Hex that you put in at $1. Now it's worth 2. They're gone, and you've got 2 USDC. So that's why liquidity providers get reward token. That's why we give them a little extra kick.
And Rothko says it depends on the length of your beard. So the longer the beard, the more likely you are to validate, which that makes sense.
I'd agree with that.
Why would they issue a second token if it's not for governance? Why wouldn't they just issue extra Pulse, considering the fact that it's deflationary by nature? So the price appreciation it's going to go up. So why is that?
Well, you can't issue Pulse because it's deflationary. There is no more new
Pulse X. I'm sorry, Pulse X.
Yeah.
Oh, because then Pulse X would become inflationary, and there would always be more and more Pulse X being printed to reward those guys, and then us, the sacrificers, we'd get diluted over time, and we'd lose.
Sense. So it has to inflate for that reason.
Yeah. So K4K says owning Pulse X is like being part of the Federal Reserve. PulseX holders decide how much and who gets the inflationary token, which stimulates the economy, which is more buying pressure for PulseX. Yeah, so the DAO token is something that can be issued, but the PulseX token cannot be issued into existence because it's going to be when it launches and it's issued. That's the most PulseX that's ever going to exist, and then it starts burning with the fees.
Correct. Bingo.
And let's see. So yeah, K4K still. I bet you K4K is with his family. He's like sitting on the couch somewhere, just rapidly typing in and watching us, but also pretending to play Monopoly or watch It's a Wonderful Life or something like that.
I think based on what his family does, I bet those guys play capture the flag, like hack computers on their local LAN.
All right. Joe Dirtwin says, I think the best pair will be the PulseX Pulse pair. Both deflate. They can tug each other up and to the right, and both are good if impermanent loss. Yeah, so basically, an impermanent loss is actually another way of buying the dip, right? Because as people trade and the price of something lowers, you're getting more of that token for providing the liquidity.
That's true. That is true. Yes.
Renob disagrees with the length of the beard. He says it's the thickness of the beard that he's going with.
You need girth and length. That's right.
Well,
That's what she said.
I don't think those are the words that they used. I think they said thickness and length, but
yeah.
Renob, Renob kid? What's your profile logo, man? I've always wondered that. I never asked you. What the hell is that? Oh, K4K says he's hanging out with his best friend Carl and Sheen. Elbow cough, elbow. Yeah, his mom just finished making him a bologna sandwich for lunch.
Terrafin's got a thick ass beard. Good for you, Terrafin. That's what he's claiming.
Respect.
He says he's got the thickest beard in the Hexen community. So
I'm very interested to see what happens here. Here in about 3 hours. I want to see this new candle for Hex because we are bouncing off. What is this? Red. 50. Yeah, 200-day moving average. So I'm interested to see if we hold it or we get a nice bounce off of it, because I can't imagine. I mean, we get that huge sell off. Tons of people. But then there's a lot of stakes, right? January, like 800 million worth of stakes or something.
Well, yeah, but that's the rolling. Those are the rolling short-term stakes that we're always going to have. If you go to hex.vision and you pull up the stake chart where it shows when they're coming out, you're always going to have a big spike right in front of us, that wave of short-term stakes where people are harvesting, their
to be fair though, even before the rolling stake wall hit, January and this time of year typically always has a lot of stakes because people want their money around the holidays. So, I agree with both you guys, but it's the rolling wave, and there were people waiting. There's OGs at the 2-year mark. This is like when 2-year stakes end. So, yeah, totally.
Yeah. And Emil asks, what do you think will be the average staking compensation for Pulse once it goes live? 5%, 3%, 10%? Any guess?
I think the validators are going to be giving higher than that. I'm going to give higher than that personally. It'll be better than 10%. Shit. Like, I'm hoping to aim for 50, the split with all the people who vote for me. Now, how much each person gets, how much you get, that depends on how much you put in. Mm-hmm. So, as a validator, I may give half to all the delegators, but then it's up to the delegators to fight over that pie based on how much they put in. So that depends how big your bag is, how much you'll walk away with. So it depends.
Awesome. And K4K was making a Jimmy Neutron reference of Carl and Sheen, because Crypto Heartbeat did that meme of K4K being Jimmy Neutron.
Nice.
Now let's talk about Staker. I'm assuming that all this stuff is going to be showing up on the Staker app, right? Your Pulse, your PulseX, all that jazz is going to be hopefully displayed on the Staker app. And right now, I should actually issue an invitation and say, hey, hopefully when this stuff starts happening, we can get someone from Staker to come on and talk about the things that they're going to be adding to that app, because that's a really valuable and widely used app in the Hexagon community right now for you checking your
So for
your
pulse
rank
staking, you
and
said?
all that. Yeah, for Pulse, well, and to see your Pulse coins and to see your
Yeah.
Pulse X coins when they launch. I think those. I'm guessing that Staker will try to add all of that to their app as well.
Cool.
Totally. I was gonna say I'm gonna be talking to Steph and Firebun and Holderdog soon about validating, like in privately. So if you have any questions you want for Steph, I can try to ask him then. You want to know if they're going to support PulseX and Pulse Chain voting?
Definitely.
Because Steph has said in the past in Staker app, they're thinking about it. They're going to have their own validator, and then right in the Staker app, you can just vote right for them with one click. So they're probably going to have that too.
Yeah, Rothko says it's a fire sale, boys, load up. And then Bearded Saint says it's going to be tough to compete with Crypto Heartbeat. He's claiming 100% to delegators, he thinks.
That's cool. But a lot of people are going to delegate to him, and then his pool is going to be huge, and then you're only a little bitty slice of that pool. So even if they give back 100%, it may not be advantageous to vote for them based on how big their pie is. So something to think about. But that's cool. I didn't know he was doing a validator. That's awesome.
It says when the DD comes in, the price is low. We know where it goes. I think they're referring to Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Can I
Right?
shift? Can I shift here real quick? This is important, I think.
Yes.
I run a group. We've got 700 folks. Telegram. This is not a shill for that group. The point is, I talk to a lot of people every day that need help, and I'd say I've had 4 people come to me this week and said they had their crypto stolen out of the Pulse Chain chat group. And it has nothing to do with the Pulse Chain chat group. It has to do with the customer service stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, scammers, send me this, send me that. Do not send your keys to anybody. Do not send anything. Do not send a barcode. Don't send anything to anybody ever. All right. I found a website, and this could be good for you guys too. The website.
Okay. Well, that's one way to build up some suspense.
Did he hit the like exit?
I think
button
he
instead of
accidentally
share screen?
yeah, he accidentally he exited on us. He'll be back, I'm sure. While we're waiting for him to come back with that script, with that website to help people from getting, scammed out of their money, I was going to ask, what do you think about how big of a sacrifice do you think the OA is going to put into PulseX based on what they put into Pulse?
I think at the end, just like happened the first time, I think the OA is going to sack, and I think the OA is going to take everything from the first Pulse Chain sacrifice and sack that as well, dude. If I was the OA, I'd sack this first sack. Sack that too, man. It's a double sack, bro. Watch that. It's going to happen.
That was what, $13 billion in Hex?
Yeah,
that was sacked the first time.
Yep. So he's going to do that again. He's going to move it all over.
Yeah, and it almost feels like he's working on a proportion, or the OA is working on a proportion where they say, okay, we're going to have 90% of whatever this turns out to be.
Yeah, 80. Yeah, I think a good 75%, 80% control. Yeah, that's
and after enjoying the gains from Hex and how well the OA has protected this community, I don't really have a desire to be part of a coin in the future that doesn't have an OA. Once you get used to that kind of protection and that bodyguard sitting around, it's hard to want to go into another project where you're just one of, where the founders have the coins and they do what they want.
Well, it depends who the OA is, right?
Yeah.
like I trust Richard because he's already a billionaire. But other people, as always, for other projects, I don't know. If they're not already rich, then maybe they won't be a good OA, you know?
And this is a good segment to bring Rags back in. Bitfinesse has an endless string of messages from pretty girls. Do you like crypto? They're not pretty girls. They're dudes trying to take your crypto. Leave those losers unread.
100%.
They could never be prettier than Bitfinesse's mom. That's the most important part of this. Here's so did I, what did you guys hear before I got disconnected?
You said, here's the website. I'll show you the website. And then you disappeared.
It's called kit.co. You can go to Amazon. You can put together different listings. So I have this thing called a security kit. So people can click this link and it's going to pop up. It's going to look real nice. It's going to have your name and your logo and everything. And people can click this kit. It'll take them directly to the places where they need to purchase these security features. So for example, I have a security kit. People click on it. It takes them to this main page with all my kits on it. And I've got a seed word, steel, titanium, engraving pad, whatever the case may be. That's step 1. Step 2, I've got ledgers and treasures. And step 3, I've got these fireproof and waterproof cases for the ledgers and treasures, just in case. So it's all in one. Whenever I hear somebody now in my chat asking about security, et cetera, copy, paste the link, no questions asked. This is exactly what I use. So
baller.
Definitely check that out. Probably make your own. It's just super simple. Super simple.
I've never even thought about
for you guys here in the chat.
Your
I'm not going to
hardware
shield
wallets.
my stuff on. I already shilled it, but I'm not going to put the link in here.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about keeping your seed words waterproof and, fireproof, like putting them on metal and stuff like that. I never even considered protecting your hardware wallet from fire and water. Because
it's only so much you can protect from fire, but it might be enough to save it. But it definitely is waterproof because there's an O-ring in the container. And I put that link in y'all's in the private chat here.
That's awesome.
And you can even brand it. You can put your name and picture and all that. It's pretty neat. And the cool thing is too, and this is for anybody out there, if you're a content creator, you can go to Amazon. You can sign up for like an Amazon partnership where you can click on any item and create a referral link on that item. So you can get a commission on it, which is pretty neat. It's like 10% or less. It's not a lot of money. But if you make any type of content, you can attach it to that video. It helps you out, helps everybody out. It's good. So
can you throw the link in our comments here?
Yes.
Awesome.
It won't let me, so I'll do it on the I can do it on the YouTube page here. Hold on.
All right. Yeah, and I don't know if our live chat shows up in the replays of this. In fact, I don't think it does. I think I have to have like more subscribers or reach some requirement from YouTube to get the live chat to replay.
I'll put it in comments and you can pin it if you want.
Okay, cool.
But I think we have to wait until after this. Cool. Yeah, man. Sad, man. People just getting their stuff stolen left and right. It's horrible. Freaking horrible, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty savage. Pretty savage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for hardware wallets like these, like the Ledger Nano S's and stuff, I buy these things like candy, right? They're like disposable. They're $60. It breaks, you throw it away, you buy another. And then I get my seed plates, those metal ones.
Yeah,
it's BradshawKnox.com.
Okay.
And that it's owned and run by Jexa from Liquid Loans. He actually gets the steel plates. He's got a little kit, and he sells them right on his website. You could even pay in Hex if you want. And I love them. They just showed up. Takes a little time. The post is pretty slow trans the world, but yeah, man, everybody, doesn't matter what brand it is or what kind it is, protect your seed phrase, please. Put it on metal.
Wonder if he lists on Amazon too.
Yeah, it looks like it let me put the link in the chat there.
Okay,
so that one's there too, and then I'll add it to the show notes.
As long as people get that, that's like the bare minimum, right? Get those metal plates. Don't care what brand, but you got to have fireproof seed words. That's key. That's like,
Yeah. So guys, when you for some of you new folks, if you have MetaMask, you have a Ledger, a Trezor, you generate the seed words, and a lot of people just write them down on a piece of paper, stick them somewhere in their house. And even if you stick it in the safe, here's the problem: if the house burns up and it gets hot enough, the ink burns off, melts off, the paper goes away. It's unrecognizable, so you lose your money forever.
yeah,
So what you do, you get some steel plates, and they've got these kits where you can either actually etch it into the steel plate, or you can punch it into the steel plate, different letters. You can put your seed words there. And I would recommend that you get the kits that have 3 or 4 pieces of steel or titanium. And it's going to take a while. It'll probably take you about an hour to do 3 of them, 3 or 4 of them.
Yep.
But it's completely worth it.
Totally.
In no instance can it not be worth it.
Yeah, I spent hours yesterday doing it, man. I was at my desk, my table, just punching holes, and then testing it. And then you take the plate and I actually do it in permanent marker first before you even punch a hole. And you literally use the plate, you decipher it, and you type it in your MetaMask, and you make sure it works. Then you punch the holes, and boom, that's it. You're done. Hide it in your basement and put it in your attic or whatever. You're good. You know.
We got Renob with a deep cut back to the Postman by Kevin Costner.
Throwback. What a classic old movie. Great movie. Tom Petty was in that movie. Love it. It was like 3.5 hours long though. Good shit.
Wasn't he trying to deliver stuff and people were trying to kill him, like in the dystopian future? Wasn't that the plot?
It was the apocalypse, and he was playing mailman. People were like, "What the fuck are you doing, bro? It's the end of the world." He's like, "Oh, I'm the postman. Here's your package."
It was definitely better than Waterworld, so we'll give him that.
Oh, I love Waterworld. What? These are classics, man. I feel like a child again. Love it.
Yeah, great movie. He says.
I like Kevin Costner.
Hey, are you guys excited about? I posted today on season 4 of Ozark coming out January 21st. You guys caught up on Ozark on Netflix?
Dude, I'm not an Ozark guy.
Yeah, me either.
What's
I'm not
that?
familiar.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So Jason Bateman, the dude from Arrested Development, he's plays a money launderer for the mob.
Oh, cool.
For the drug cartel, right? So there's 3 seasons. The 4th season's coming out in January 21st. So you guys have time to catch up if you just abandon all of your responsibilities and your family duties, which is, I recommend. And no, it's really I learned about bearer bonds. I learned about offshore bank accounts. I watched that show with a pen and a piece of paper. Like I straight up take notes when it comes to Ozark on Netflix. So
I'll check
it out. It's definitely pretty and it's real well written as well.
So Terrafin sent me a picture of his beard that he doesn't want me to show. He just wants me to describe it. And all I can say is, like, in the presence of a woman, a gentleman removes his hat. In the presence of a beard, a woman removes her clothes. And that's what's happening with Terrafin's beard, dude. It's gnarly. I mean, that thing burns calories. Big time.
That thing could stop bullets if someone shot him and tried to shoot his throat.
I wish I could share it, but I'll respect his wishes.
And we got a shout out from the hexiest man in the world, Don. You should see if he can come on in here. Yeah, Don, hexiest man in the world, says Field of Dreams, and then watching him on Yellowstone tonight. I've been watching Yellowstone, and it is very entertaining, but it is hot garbage. The logic and the rationale of those scenes, especially if you've been in the military and you know anything about a bullet. You're watching these firefight scenes. People are always shooting straight at each other, like the same people on their group. They're never reloading. It's just, I don't know.
Dude, speaking of a hot mess, did you guys watch Matrix?
Not yet. I torrented it, but I haven't watched it yet.
It is not worth it, dude.
I wanted to go to the movie theater and watch it, but I'm an old man. And it used to be there was a 7 o'clock showing at most theaters and a 10 o'clock showing, but they've changed it to 6 and 9, right? So I don't think ahead to catch the 6 o'clock showing. Then I look it up and it's like, well, it starts at 9:30, and I feel old. I'm like, no, yeah, I'm not gonna start a movie away from my house at 9:30. What am I, 20?
They used to just have like the night of, they would show it at midnight.
Yeah, I
Like the
remember
night
that too.
before the first, but they don't do that around here anymore.
Yeah, my
Pissed.
movie theater near my house just closed, man. Out of business forever, permanent, gone. It's like, yeah, no, it's been there my whole life. Now
Well,
it's gone.
these past, I saw Dune on HBO, streamed
Yeah.
it the day it came out, and then I saw Matrix on HBO. And I mean, that's the way. Is that the way it's going to go? It's going
Yeah,
to be a novelty
theaters.
to go to movie theater.
Yeah, I'm gonna short AMC stock right now, actually, guys.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Wall Street bets hype.
The last movie I went and watched the new West Side Story because I'm a theater dude, and I love the musical, so we went and watched that, and it actually has big chunks of it that are in Spanish without any subtitles. And you know how usually in the movies they'll say something in Spanish and then they'll turn to someone and say the same thing in English for the audience. Yeah, they don't do that. They do entire like paragraphs where they're like blah, 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 and then the movie just goes on. And my one friend who speaks Spanish is like 2 seats over. She's laughing her ass off, and the rest of us are like just
What's going on?
waiting. Oh, I guess we'll wait for the next song. They'll explain what's going on in the song, right?
Dude, Bearded Saint, Dune was epic, and Dune was epic. Like I'm thinking about getting a tattoo of "Fear is the Mind Killer" on my left arm because that
I
movie,
love Dune.
one of the best sci-fi movies to come out in a long time, dude. I got
Yes.
sucked into that.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
the
did you
first
see the
line.
old one? Like you like the
No,
old? You never seen the
I
1986
loved the
version?
old one.
no.
I loved,
too.
and I loved how
I grew up watching that.
I was worried how are they going to recreate the scene with him being tested, and they did very well on that. I thought it was
Absolutely.
at least as good, and that's all I wanted.
Yep. I was very pleased with it as well. It was way
And that-
more epic and grandiose. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
it was very good.
And the actor, dude, that kid, I was very impressed. He really took the bull by the horns, man. Like very
Yeah,
impressive.
he
with that
did. He
kid.
did a really good job. There wasn't one moment in Dune that you weren't invested. Like usually there's some scene where they cut away and they talk about something that doesn't matter, like a bathroom break scene. But in Dune, it was like just intense, like
Yeah.
anticipation through the whole thing. It
There
was really,
wasn't a
really
chance
good.
for your brain to breathe and realize this is sci-fi. It's like you were sucked in the whole time. Loved
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Better than Star Wars, without a doubt.
Oh, hands down. Dune has always been better than Star Wars, in my opinion.
Without a
Always. Yeah.
But not
There
better
you
than
go.
Star Trek, bro. Come on, man.
Star
Yeah.
Trek, the new movies.
Bit
I
Finesse is
haven't
talking
seen one in a
about
while.
I kind of
Mr.
liked
Brooks.
a little bit. Who is it? The guy who did the new movies of Star Trek was the guy who did Star Wars movies, right? I think
I'm
so.
not sure.
So let me see. Star Trek producer.
Bit Finesse is referencing Mr. Brooks, which I remember Kevin Costner was in Mr. Brooks. I can't remember what it was about at all. And I sent Bit Finesse a link to join us if he wants, and also Hexiest Man in the World, because he is freaking out about the Yellowstone episode tonight.
I'm watching. I love Yellowstone, dude. It hurt my feelings to see her get her ass whooped. What's her name in that last
Beth.
scene? That was brutal. Like they
Oh,
didn't.
you mean when she got whooped at her office, or are you
Yeah,
talking
that
about
was
the
a
other?
brutal freaking scene, man.
Yeah, it was.
I was like, I
definitely-
can't. I was like, oh my gosh, they're doing this on TV right now.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I
Yeah.
like the whoever's writing for Beth and some of the lines that come out of her mouth. She's like the coolest dude on that show.
Dude, I love that attitude, man. I just love that she drinks whiskey and punches dudes in the freaking nose. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hexiest Man was at the Matrix on the last stream I invited him on, and he missed it. But
he was there.
yeah,
I'm gonna get into some Ozark. I'll check it out for sure.
yeah. Bitfinesse says any Hexicans have the idea of buying a movie theater as a home. I actually, when I got out of Dune, I thought, man, I forget the theater room. A lot of people build a theater room in their house.
Yeah,
I want like an actual full-blown, full-size movie theater. is what I want to build,
I
and
can
then
dig
just
it.
invite people over.
Pretty sweet. That'd be sweet.
You
And
know what else is
nowadays-
going out of
yeah.
business right now? Is churches. COVID
Yeah.
crushed
Well, I heard-
membership.
I heard they're going to smartphone apps now.
Oh yeah, they are. A lot of live streaming.
Yeah, they're going online.
Well.
Awesome. So there was one other thing I was going to ask about that was Hex and Pulse related, and it's skipping my mind. Let me check the check all the comments, see if we have any questions in the comments that's actually related to our tech talk. Tarek Elm says, "Go to church." Crypto Freedom says, "Ozark rocks." Yeah, I definitely think Ozark is better than Yellowstone, I would say. And then I think that Succession is better than all of those. You guys ever checked out Succession?
No, dude, what the hell are you talking about, man?
Yeah, I never heard. I don't watch a lot of TV though, unless
So-
it's Richard Hart.
You guys have heard of Billions, right? So there's
Mhm.
Billions, which is about stock trading company, and that one's on Showtime. But HBO has a show called Succession that has 3 seasons out, and it's about this media mogul, this billionaire, that's trying to figure out what to do with his empire, and all of his kids are fighting amongst each other and trying to, be the heir of this big empire. And it's got some really interesting, twists and turns, some great writing and great acting.
Cool. Interesting.
So there's another suggestion there. Do you guys know anything about the Binance chain being added to the PulseX lead site? Cheers.
I do. It will not be added. The PulseXlead.com only tracks Ethereum. So Binance chain, there's no website that tracks that. You'll get airdrop later. Sorry.
Awesome. And Trap Gravity asks, is Liquid Loans on testnet v2 yet?
Only in private mode for the interface. It's still in development, but they have a internal test version up and running. So, but not for everybody else yet. Hopefully soon.
Awesomeness. We finally got the hexiest man in the world in the green room. Let's bring him out. Hey, what's up, buddy? How are you doing? Yeah, did you get your PulseX sacrifice in yet?
Can you hear us? I
Can
don't think
you
you
hear
can
us?
hear us.
Hello?
I don't think he can hear us either. He's just
Yeah.
here for looks.
He's all awkward. He's like, I can't hear you, buddy. Oh well.
It's all right.
Can
He
you hear
looks
us?
good, though.
Maybe he doesn't know I added him to the stream.
Yeah, kick his ass out.
Oh, he doesn't know he's
Done.
live. Yeah, poor.
Don, you're live. Can you hear us?
Hello.
What's happening?
Oh, there you
Good.
are.
got-
Hey,
hold on,
what's going
am I
on?
delayed? Let's see.
I don't think you're delayed unless you're watching YouTube
Can you hear me
instead
now?
of
Hold on.
StreamYard. We
I
can
think
hear
I was
you.
watching the stream and I was.
Yeah. Don't watch the stream. The
Are we there
stream's
now?
going to be late. You're on. Yeah, you're on. You're
What's
looking
1 plus
good.
1?
Hello, testing.
Yeah.
What's
can
1
you
plus
hear
1?
us?
No. Unless he doesn't know what 1 plus 1 is.
So in like
There we
30
go.
seconds,
Now I can
There
hear
you-
you.
so you can hear us now, right?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
All good.
I rewound and then I was listening to you on the iPad. Didn't realize that I was doing that while I was watching you on the screen. But look at this. So official Yellowstone letterhead, right? Of where
Right.
where they're filming, because I was leasing a spot downtown in Ogden, right off Main Street. If you're familiar with Ogden, X-Ray, and
Yeah.
and then so they were basically telling us this was November 18 where we'd have to park. But it's crazy how much of that's filmed here in Utah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most of it's up by Park City and Heber, I believe.
Yeah, and the Bozeman, Montana scenes though, that's all Ogden. Every single one of those scenes is downtown Ogden. Believe it or not.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, did you get your sacrifice in for PulseX yet?
So for Pulse, I sacrificed day one. I have a group of people a group of Salt Lake Hexicans that we're looking at pulling up now. I know there's key issues and concerns with that. So we're about to discuss those actually on a stream here today for at least just a private one that we're talking about. But we're having all the funds in by the 5th. So certainly before the 5% penalty. Are all you guys in already?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not
I
in.
jumped in on that pool that they closed down earlier when we dropped below 29 cents. You know,
Yeah.
I jumped in that pool. I was actually talking to the homies down in Florida that were partying
Right.
because I was waiting that night. I was waiting for it to jump up and maybe hit 39 cents or even go on a run.
Right.
And we saw it kind of sit there on the ledge before it dropped, and I was
Right.
like, yeah, I don't think this is going up anymore. So I threw in my sack, and then they closed the doors on that pool, which was number 1. Now it's number 2
Oh,
after
really?
yeah, because after the 7777
Ethereum. Yeah. I
that
saw
took
that.
over number 1, but we're still number 2.
Is this Legion VC with Motley?
Yeah, that's the one.
All right, cool. I'm
That's
Very
in
the pool
that
nice.
I got it.
That's
Yeah.
great. You guys are number 2. Wow. That's gonna
Dude,
be
do
a
you
good
play the
multiplier.
guitar by chance, man?
Do I?
Yeah.
No, I'm a drummer actually.
Oh, I was just wondering if you like knew Lady Gaga or anything.
If I knew Lady Gaga,
Yeah, man.
I
You know
don't know
that
any
movie
Lady
she
Gaga.
did with what's his face? Tell
With-
me
Oh, Bradley
something
Cooper. You look like
good.
Bradley
Oh,
Cooper is what he's saying.
Hey, well, thank
You
you.
do-
man.
you
I'll
do
take
look
that,
like
know?
Bradley
You guys are in the
Cooper.
same genetic pool at some
Well,
point in
that's
time. Yes.
I've been told that, but I will tell you, if I take this hat off, man, he's blessed with the hair. Although I do think he has hair plugs. And this,
It probably does.
I
Most
got
of
it on
them
the
do.
sides. I got it nice on the sides here, but Hex-Ray and I are about in the same category right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're made for aerodynamics. Like
Exactly, man.
we can drive around in a convertible, and there's no drag up
You'd
here.
be a badass
Yeah.
cyclist, dude.
Nothing to fix, nothing to clean up. We're just, although without me getting a haircut, it is kind of, does look kind of Einstein-y, little gone in the front.
We got Blue Bum in the house, and
Blue Bum, what's
Mick
up, man?
Mid Cow Dulpug. Not even sure what that's supposed to mean, but
Just a lot of
they're here.
consonants.
Sister 19 LOL online. So maybe that's their Twitter handle. So yeah, you're
He's
limitless.
Pulse change limitless,
Yeah.
and Pulse X is limitless. That's
Dude,
true.
when they came out with the idea of burning the Pulse tokens and the Pulse X tokens, I was like, this is gonna be insane.
Oh
It's gonna
yeah,
be crazy. And I still think everyone is going to sleep on Pulse and Pulse X the first year. I think anyone who DCAs in the first year on Pulse X and Pulse, in 4 years, you're gonna have a flock of golden geese that'll blow your mind. And granted, like I said on my little Zoom meetings with the people I onboard, I said a lot of people are gonna eat that golden goose as soon as it's big enough to eat. 1 year into it, they're gonna see 100x, and they're gonna eat that golden goose, and then they're gonna see it do another 100x and another 100x. And Blue Bum's asking, have we looked at Hadron? I was trying to figure out Hadron because I guess Hadron's trying to get into has their test net up, but basically Hadron, as far as I understand, is a way of turning a stake into an NFT. So wrapping a stake into an NFT contract. And it looks like they're trying to get that ready to go on Pulse Chain. So I think that's a wrapped stake platform. And then Renob says platinum geese. We got them forget golden geese. Let's get some platinum geese. Go ahead, Don.
So when you say in an NFT, you're essentially talking about converting it into a typical ERC 721. Is that right, David? Is it 721?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That's what they're looking at doing on Pulse Chain. So I guess a PRC 721, or is it on Ethereum?
I don't know. I blocked them on Twitter.
Gotcha.
I have no idea. I'm not into that one.
Gotcha.
It gave me the creeps when I was
get David a
seeing
drink
that
and tell us more.
Yeah, no. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm keeping that on wide berth until we see more of that stuff.
What about the incentive token? I mean, I've obviously watched Richard streams about it, but as far as strategies for that. When it was originally Pulse Swap, and I was thinking that, it was just, that was essentially going to be just like the Pancake Swap token, etc. And before the whole buy and burn feature and the separate incentive token, I was looking at basically just, providing both sides of the liquidity pool, and now, I mean, obviously you have that option for each one of the ERC20s to bridge over the value to PRC20. But are there many strategies for the incentive token aside from that's been discussed, or do we not really know enough about the incentive token?
But I think that's all it does, is just it rewards liquidity providers for pairs. Yeah, that's really it. And then
Gotcha.
the people who have Pulse X tokens, those are the people who get to vote on which pairs to incentivize.
That's right.
And that's it. That's the system.
That's right. And that's inflationary.
The Pulse X that we're sacking for right now, they're
that's deflationary.
Yeah.
But the incentive token, I'm meaning that one.
Yes, that
has
is
to be.
yes.
Right, okay.
The liquidity providers mint that as their reward. Yep.
Gotcha. Yep.
One question I've been getting a lot is when the network launches, it's how are people going to be able to get the bridge will be active? That's assumed, correct? The ETH to Pulse bridge.
Correct, because that's already working in testnet. Correct.
Okay, good. So we will have a way to be able to get gas on the Pulse network. Gas, Pulse, right?
We will have a way to leave the Pulse chain. You're not trapped inside of it.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to do a transaction day one and all they did was get copies of Pulse X and maybe their Hex, and they didn't have any Pulse, they wouldn't be able to do transactions unless somebody sent them that, correct?
Correct.
Or they bridged in. They could bridge in ETH to Pulse.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Blue Bum.
We got Blue Bum in here. How are you doing, Blue Bum? It's good to see you.
Good morning to you. Yeah. Happy New Year.
Before you go on,
what
was the interview that you did? I want to say it was about a year ago. That was just a killer interview with a guy that's in Australia. He's big into finance and stocks. Do you remember the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's Martin North. Yeah. If you do a search on YouTube for Hex Rose, ROSE, it'll come up. DFA, I can't remember what it's called, what it stands for now. But yeah, Martin North, he's a kind of traditional finance person. Well, not traditional, but like an alternative news source of the traditional finance world.
Awesome. Yeah, that was one of the best interviews at that point. I thought anyone that sees this is going to get so much information from such a professional source that how could you watch that and not take a serious look at Hex? So I want to say thank you very much for that. I mean, I know I jumped on Twitter and said thanks, but I wanted to say thanks in person because that was awesome.
Yeah, no worries. Absolutely my pleasure to do it. And I'm happy it turned out so well. It took me a while to get that interview. And I think persistence pays off when trying to get the word out, guys.
Right.
Sometimes it just takes the extra email, just a little bit of pushiness.
Awesome. Now, Hadron, I was trying to wrap my head around it, and the things that I did like about it is that it was going to be locked and immutable, right? And it was basically
no admin keys.
No admin keys.
They've just done the audit, and he's having the developers responding to a couple of things in the audit, and that'll be public soon.
Are you involved with them, Blue Bum?
No, I mean, I just found out about it, went in there, started learning about it, was pretty blown away, and then the more I found out about it, the more blown away I was. It's incredibly price positive for Hex. Right. Like super price positive for Hex for a number of reasons. And it is definitely an opportunity that Hexicans, I think, are going to want to know about. With all of our existing Hex stakes, we can mint hadron, right? So
if you prove that you have value locked up in Hex, then you can get free hadron as an airdrop.
Think of it as like their distribution model is to only give hadron to Hex stakers based on how many shares you have. So all of the hadron that can be minted is only going to Hex stakers.
Why?
So what you can, there's a number of things you can do. First of all, I mean, why is that their distribution model? Because hex stakers, I mean, it's an interesting distribution model. There's no sack phase or anything like that. You don't give money. You just print hadron based on how many shares you have.
T-shares. So it'd be a T-share based model, right?
And how many days you've served. Like if you have like a 10-year stake and you've spent a year of it, you can mint the hadron for that year. Right? So that's just the native stakes. That's just the stakes you have now. You can mint hadron. And in the first 100 days of the contract, they're doing a bonus phase. So on the first day, you get a 10x bonus. On the second day, you get a 9.9, third day, 9.8, and it continues down. Right? And that locks that bonus in for the whole stake. So let's say you have a 10-year stake. You've spent a year of it. You go and mint on the first day. You lock in a 10x bonus of hadron, but also that locks in that 10x bonus for the whole rest of that stake. So let's say you spend another year, you get to mint hadron, or if you spend, I mean, you can save it up if you want and not mint it until the end. And so it's just, yeah, that's that. But then also they've developed this thing called HSI, Hex Stake Instance, and that will allow you to do 3 different things. You can still mint just like you can with the native stakes, but you can also tokenize your stakes. So you can get a stake. Let's say you have a Quattro Cinco stake, and if you make it through their wrapper, you can tokenize it into an NFT, and then you can either transfer it to another address. Like let's say you get hacked, you can transfer that to another address. So it's an extra security level. You can also give it to another address, or you can sell it to somebody. So we're going to be able to make Quattro Cincos and sell. So just that in itself, like there's going to be a lot more Quattro Cinco stakes. There's a lot more hex locked up. And in terms of emergency end staking, instead of emergency end staking, if you really need the money or want the money, instead of that, you'll be able to just sell that stake. So none of that hex gets dumped onto the market.
So, and then the hadron NFT gets sold instead.
Yes.
Okay.
But exactly. And then that person can on-sell it if they want. Or
would it be fair to call it a derivative of a T-share then, if it's based off T-shares and honoring your T-share?
It depends how you define the term derivative. It just allows hex stakers to mint hadron.
Awesome.
And so they're going to be the holders. So there's going to be a ton at the start probably, and it'll probably have a low price, but that's the speculative value, isn't it? And over time, see the other thing that you can do with hadron is you can get an advance on what you haven't minted. That's what they're calling the borrow function. So let's say you have a 10-year stake and it's got 9 years left to go. What you can do is you can borrow all the hadron that you would mint from that stake, and then you pay it back with interest, and the interest is calculated as half of the APY of the hex stake at the point that you made that transaction. And so there is a danger with that that people should be aware of. If you miss 3 payments in a row, so that's if it goes over 90 days, then that hex stake is liable to be, somebody else can pay it off with hadron and basically get ownership of that stake. And what they're going to do is have an auction. So after the 90 days, somebody puts in enough hadron to liquidate it, and then that goes for a day with an auction, which has 5-minute every time someone makes a bid, like bids more hadron for that stake, the time increases by 5 minutes. So if a day goes by and you're the top bidder, you get it. But if somebody puts in another bid underneath 5 minutes and then somebody puts in another bid under 5 minutes, the price drives up until somebody wins that stake.
Oh,
And
wow.
all of that hadron, that say if you've borrowed hadron and then you start paying it back, all of what you pay back is burnt. And then if a stake is liquidated, everything that's paid back is burnt. So that's basically it in a nutshell.
And so the entire supply of hadron is going to be based on how many T shares or days of T shares are saved or served. Is that correct?
How many hadron is minted, and the only people that can mint hadron are hex stakers.
So do you see it being mostly used as essentially a way for people to get some liquid capital, essentially to use it as a borrowing tool? I mean, as liquid loans as an option on the Pulse chain, do you see this as essentially a way that people are going to use it to borrow capital?
I mean, I think some people will use it to, I don't, yeah, some people will use it that way, to borrow the unminted hadron and to do stuff with it, I guess. You don't have to do that. And right. I can't see myself actually even using that part of it.
Right.
But that's one of its use cases.
I mean, there's a lot of game theory with it. I see the game theory. I'm just wondering what it's being marketed as, essentially. Well,
it's been, I mean, it's not really being marketed, to be perfectly honest. It's like this guy's come up with this this contract. He's out of his own pocket has paid for the audit. He put up a thing on Telegram, and people have come in and have been asking him questions, and he's answering them. And then a few people there who've gone to really know it well have become kind of the people in the Telegram chat just answering the questions. But it's a purely organic kind of like product that's just like, there's no official marketing for it or anything like that. It's just it's just grown naturally. And so the thing to consider right at the moment, is that because you can get that 10x bonus of hadron on the first day, if you have a stake coming up at the moment, what you could do is, let's say it's a nice long one. Let's say you've got a 2-year stake coming up. Instead of minting it before their launch, you could run good accounting so it doesn't bleed out. And then on day one, you get to mint hadron from that hex stake at the 10x bonus.
When is their launch?
They're aiming for January the 31st.
Okay.
So what chain is that launching on then? Ethereum?
It'll be on Ethereum, but then everything that you do on Ethereum obviously will be forked over, and you'll have it all on Pulse as well.
I like the aspect of it almost sounds like one of those police auction lots.
Yeah.
They have all the evidence and cars and stuff that they've stolen from criminals and all the cash, and then they just start auctioning it off for whoever the highest bidder is, like out of a back parking lot. It's like, oh, this car is $50. It sounds like people are going to be doing that with like hex stakes. That you could just show up with hadron and buy other people's hex stakes if they're not there to like pay it. Like, wow, that's cool.
And it's interesting because it will also give us an idea of how much people are valuing hex stakes at. Like let's say it's a 5-year stake with it's got 10 years to go or something like that.
It also incentivizes people to transact hex on Ethereum's chain as well.
Yep.
Right?
That too.
And if you think about it, it kind of becomes a volatility sink. Because instead of buying and selling hex, you just keep the hex. But you can do this other stuff on hadron. So if you need cash, you just dump a whole lot of hadron instead.
It's like your T-share is your house, and it just gets bought and sold forever. It doesn't go anywhere. Never burns down. Never leaves, right?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I'm going to give this a second look, man. Wow.
Wow. I like this.
I've got an interview with these folks on the 15th.
Beautiful.
So I'll launch that out. If you guys want me to ask any questions, let me know. It's Alex. You know Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he like one of the co-founders?
He's the guy that wrote it. He's the guy behind it, the developer.
The main guy. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Perfect. So he is public and talking to people. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he's a very smart guy, and he's a lovely guy. And like, it's been really interesting being in the Telegram chat and seeing him ask questions to the community, or like, what do you think I should do about this? What do you think I should do about that?
And how does emergency end staking affect your tokens?
Well, if you emergency end stake a hex stake, you don't get to mint. Well, I'm not sure, like, what affected in what way?
I'm guessing that they're referring to the borrow, because you're borrowing on future days.
Oh, you
served,
can't.
right?
Yeah, it's locked. It puts it in a locked state when you borrow, so you can't emergency end stake it.
Oh, okay.
I see.
So I guess the danger is if somebody doesn't have a lot of hex stakes and they've only got one hex stake, and they go and borrow a whole lot of hadron that needs to be minted, that will be minted in the future. They borrow all of that hadron, and then the price of hadron shoots up on them and makes it difficult for them to make the payments. I guess that's a use. But in terms of us now, it's like we're going to have tons of this stuff. We're just going to be able to mint. What you can also do is, like, you borrow, but you're still spending the days. And so if you pay back that borrow, you'll still be able to mint the days that while you were borrowing.
Right.
It sounds like there's a lot of moving parts. So if they pull this this software off and get it locked and muted and functioning, that's going to be really, really impressive.
It's here. It's going to be one of
lot.
those things where it's like you can either choose to interact with it or not. And like the cost for us is going to be the gas fee of minting the hadron. So at the moment, he's estimated that for each stake, it's going to cost somewhere between $8 and $28, depending on Ethereum gas price. But we get all of those on the Pulse side as well if we do it now. So that's also something to consider. And then once there's two chains, then you'll have to do it on both chains. And so on the Pulse one, it'll be obviously cheaper.
Yeah, and someone else commented, part of the never sell cartel. And of course, Ancient Earthquake says, I can appreciate the never sell, but at some point we do need to sell to cover the loans or leverage, right?
Well, you need to get hadron to cover your. If you've borrowed, then you'll need to get hadron to pay back. So let's say you mint, I don't know, 100,000 hadron, and then you're going to have to pay back that plus. Let's say the APY is 40% on your stake, so you'll have to pay back 20%. So you'll have to pay back 120,000 hadron.
Okay.
Over the life of the stake.
So what does a smart contract do to my stakes? It sounds like you're wrapping one smart contract in with another smart contract. Is that correct?
The HSI, hex stakes instance, allows it stakes directly with the hex contract. So you're just and this is where, like, the technical details, I've heard them, and I think I've understood it, but it's now we're getting slightly onto the edge where I don't completely feel comfortable talking about it. But that's something you can ask Alex about, how he's designed this, because he uses three contracts in order to do this, and from what I understand.
Yeah. So if these are more than one contract on the Ethereum chain, what are the fees you're looking at to try and set some of this stuff up? It would be probably pretty expensive, I'm guessing.
Well, just as I said, to mint hadron, he's estimating that it's going to cost between $8 and $28 per stake. And he tried to do it so that you could mint all of your stakes, but that ended up costing more gas. So this is the cheapest way to do it, most efficient way to do it.
Interesting.
So this might be having you repeat something, but are you essentially saying that it encapsulates the stake, or you're able to have, it goes off your T-shares and your number of days, and you're able to mint hadron from being a hex staker, having T-shares, some type of formula or heuristic?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's just the number of days times the number of B shares that you have, and then if there's any bonus on the first 100 days, times the bonus.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so, if you were to essentially mint that hadron, are you saying that you're not then able to go emergency end state? Because I just
No.
okay, you're
No,
not.
if you borrow hadron, that's minting is different from borrowing. It's kind of the opposite of borrowing. So if you mint it, you just mint it.
Right.
But if you borrow, that's actually locking your stake, so you can't.
So you're collateralizing it.
Yeah.
Essentially. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
There's one other thing, which is there's a thing called what's it called? APR. Basically, like if the ratio of minted hadron to borrowed hadron falls below 50%, then what it triggers something called, which is basically a 3x bonus. So let's say you minted some hadron during the bonus phase, so you've got that 10x bonus, and then you wait and don't mint hadron, and at some point in the future, if that ratio gets triggered, you'll get a 3x bonus on top of the 10x bonus. So it's gamified so that you don't want to mint hadron, and you wait for that if that ratio ever drops down. Takes a little while to wrap your head around all the gamifications.
Right.
In the end, what this does is it gives us more options and more game.
Exactly.
More game theory, right?
And it basically disincentivizes people from ever selling hex. And it incentivizes people, because you can print it into an NFT and sell it later on, it incentivizes people to make loads more Quattro Cincos. Like, in a way, it's kind of like there's such a high incentive now to make Quattro Cincos with this, and because you're going to be able to, like, 5 years down the track, especially imagine this. This is the big brain thinking. So on the first day, you make one of these HSI stakes for a Quattro Cinco. The day rolls over, so now it's active. On the second day, you mint that first day, which is going to give you hadron from that first day at the 10x bonus. But what you've done is you've locked in the 10x bonus for the rest of the life of that stake. So then you leave it, maybe you wait a few years, and you check out what the market's doing. But those stakes, they'll be Quattro Cincos bought at the cheaper T-share rate that you'll be able to sell, plus they'll have a 10x hadron mint bonus attached to them
forever, every day.
So when the other person, like, and if you rack up 5 years or something, that's a hell of a lot of hadron. And so when you go and tokenize it, and then the other person gets it and they de-tokenize it, it's exactly the same that you gave them, in what form you gave it to them in. So they can go and mint hadron or wait or whatever they want to do.
Yeah, let's address Justin S says, well, that's a big deal because I'm not trying to get to the end of my 10 or 15 year stake and then it gets put into a different wallet than mine. I don't think he understands that you're not able to end stake when you're borrowing, but if you were to claim at the end of your stake, you can still end your stake. It just stops you from claiming more hadron in the future.
Yeah, and you don't have to
he's thinking that by claiming it, you're giving your keys or your control to end your stake over, and I don't think that's only the case with the borrowing.
No, you've got your keys. You've got your keys the whole time, unless you decide to sell it or give it to somebody. Then then they have the private keys to do stuff with that stake, and you don't have to borrow. There's no requirement to borrow. It's only a feature, an option.
And you can stake your hadron?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you could stake your hadron.
No, but
free claim.
As T shares turn into B shares, and as T shares become more and more expensive and become rarer and rarer, the amount of hadron that's able to mint becomes lower and lower.
would be great. It would be great to see this all in a flow chart of some sort.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, just to be able to see all the different moving parts. I mean, I know for the liquid loan stream that HexRay had with which David, you and Jesse went at it and some good questions. You know that
We'll get in there.
and looking at it, and they had a flow chart, and that helped a lot.
I mean, they have stuff in the Hadron Telegram chat. Like there's a I don't know what you'd call it, like a document which like explains everything, so you can go and read that. And you know, the developer is still tinkering with stuff. So if you've got any ideas, get in there and offer up some ideas as well.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on here and breaking down what you've learned about Hadron to the Hexkins, because a lot of people are really gun shy in this community, especially if they think there's a chance that they're going to lose their T-shares and their Hex. And so it'll be interesting to see how this
look, we've had
develops.
a history of people trying to attach onto us and cream us for money. But from my research, like that's why you have to do your own research. You know, everyone should just do their own research. Get out there and ask the tough questions. And, you know, like the more eyeballs we have on this, the more of a chance that those kinds of things will not, like, word will get out. So absolutely, especially anyone who's developers, anyone who's really savvy on that kind of stuff, anybody who can, you know, like read the contract and understand solidity. Anyone who can think outside the box about possible edge cases. You know, there's a whole lot of new information here, and it's worth checking out, because it's just to me, when I sort of had that moment of like, holy shit, it was like the same when I understood Hex.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you would, you know, like sometimes there's pushback, but it's the same with Hex. You know, so people are still going to pushing back on it. You know what I mean? Because they don't understand it. They haven't taken the time to really fully comprehend it. So, but I think it's like equally as innovative. But it could only have been done because of Hex.
Awesome. And it looks like Justin F was saying that if you were to claim your Hadron on your Ethereum Hex stake, then when Pulse goes live, then you would have 4 coins. You'd have the E-Hex, the P-Hex, then you'd have the E-Hadron and the P-Hadron.
That's pretty much it.
For
Yeah.
15 years. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Awesome.
you think about it as well. Like, this is only going to Hex stakers. They're the whales. They're going to be the ones that either dump it or provide liquidity for it. It's a really interesting experiment. Like Richard Hart has gone for the people make sacrifices, and so they're going to value it because they've made that sacrifice, whatever they get. But this is different. This is just, okay, you've got your Hex stake, you're a committed person, now we're going to give you this.
Wow.
Or not even we're going to give you this. You've got the ability to do the work to get it yourself.
You can mend this if you want.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an opt-in.
Interesting. This is wow. I'm gonna take a deep dive on this one. Definitely. Thank you, Blue Bomb, for this heads up. Yeah, this is wow.
Yeah, I'd love you to really take a deep dive, David, because I know you're a tech person and you'll have a big plan about this. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, because I first saw him on Twitter, and I'm pretty gun shy. Like, I'm quick to shoot first and ask questions later. You know, like, so as soon as I saw that shit, I'm like, get the fuck out of here, block. Like, nope. But I'm gonna check this one out.
Yeah, and as Jeff F says, there's a lot of gun shy people here that lost Hex in the early days to some of the projects that people were marketing to the Hexicans. But like Manko Junkie says, he says you can just claim it. It's almost like the fear that the Bitcoin maxis had when Hex was offering free Bitcoin back in the day, where we're like, hey, come claim your free Hex, and they're like, no, you'll lose all your Bitcoin. And then we found out, of course, oh, you guys just lost out on some free money.
because Bitcoin maxis
So-
don't know how Bitcoin works, and they don't even know what sign
Right.
a message means. Lols.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's just like, I mean, obviously this is way more gamified and far more complex, but you know, when OpenSea, OpenDAO, and essentially, you know, the gas token just a few nights ago were
Yeah.
available for airdrop. You know, I didn't. Well, I did the OpenSea one. I claimed that, but then the gas one I hadn't touched. Then Richard tweeted about him last night saying, you know, hey, they're okay. And I mean, I'm like, oh gosh, I could have sold for, you know, quite a bit more. And now it. Oh, go ahead.
Richard retweeted just a couple hours ago that gas DAO, it actually gives full spend rights on your Ethereum wallet, and it's actually
Ooh,
questionable
I didn't
now.
claim that one. Okay, I didn't.
Yeah.
That's the one I
Yeah.
didn't touch. So
Yeah, and people have been
Ooh.
claiming, and it costs more to mint it than what you get. So
I
the
claim
first night,
I claim the
stay
gas
away.
DAO.
for now.
So
You
you put
did?
in your you put in your address, and it tells you how much Ethereum you've spent from that address over time. And mine was like $34,000 of Ethereum that I
Yeah.
spent from that
What?
address. It
Oh
was
yeah,
almost
mine was over 10
I've
grand.
spent almost 8
scared
Ethereum
to
in
look.
fees from this one address that I went and checked. And so they said I was eligible for like 1.6 million of these tokens, which turned out to be like $130. So I spent $60, $50 or $60 in fees to claim $150, and it's just sitting there. But I didn't give them any permissions to my wallet when I did that.
See that same night. So I don't know when you looked at it. It was like 3 or 4 nights ago when I first saw it, and I was
Yeah.
a fraction of yours. I was only like, you know, little over 10 grand in fees, but it was about $500 worth if I would have dumped it right then. But then
Yeah.
the next morning I looked at it again, and it was down to about $50 worth, and it would have cost more to claim it. So, and then plus I was like, I just don't know about this one. You know, the OpenSea one, at least it had OpenSea's name. The gas one,
Right.
you know, it was created 15 hours prior when I had looked at it. In 15 hours, these guys had made, you know, $26 million or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. So I didn't have that problem with giving them permission to anything, but I did spend $60 on something that may just end up being completely worthless.
Maybe your shirt didn't give permissions when you minted.
See, that's what I'm wondering.
So there's a website you can go to called
Okay.
it's like a
Revoke or something.
yeah. Yep, and then there's also one called, I think it's dap.tagstar. Funding Jim just tweeted it like an hour or two ago. It's in his tweets.
Okay.
And you just paste in your address, and it shows all the permissions you've given to every smart contract. So that's how you can verify that for free.
I did
Beautiful.
that. I did that months ago when that first kind of came out, and I just had a ton of
Scary.
like permissions, and it took me so much gas to turn them all off. But it's worth doing.
Yeah, and the only good ones you could leave are like Uniswap, Matcha.xyz, Hex. Like those are fine, you know. But yeah,
Well, Hex doesn't have. You don't need to do approvals with Hex, do you?
That's true. You just connect your wallet. That's right. There are no permissions. That's right. Yeah, it's just this like exchanges really.
Yeah.
Sounds
Well,
like a good
some
thing for everyone to
contract.
do.
There's some contracts added in this approval thing, and with some you don't need to do it.
Because when you connect, I mean, it obviously just tells you in MetaMask, it just tells you you're giving permission for them to view your public address. That's all it's saying. But it sounds like there's quite a few more permissions that it might be giving in the behind the scenes.
Or they could have rolled it into this gas token. When you mint your gas token, they could have just rolled in the, hey, by the way, we can spend all your ETH now. Like that could have been in the code that you just
In the
executed.
token itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you signed. Like that.
From
could
what I
have been done.
understand, the gas DAO token that was a 2-step process. You made an approval and then you minted. I haven't done it though, so
Yeah, I didn't
can't
do it either. I don't know how did you guys qualify for that? How did you spend that much in gas? What?
Just
Oh,
being on the Ethereum chain, buddy.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Oh, it's
just.
Yeah,
I think it was
check
just
out-
over 1,500 ETH, and you qualified for it.
yeah, 15
Sorry,
or was it
$dollars
1551?
per week.
They did for no 1449, right? If you were over 14.
There's plenty of people that spend that much on gas.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought-
crazy.
I checked all
Pulse-
my wallets. I didn't qualify for anything. I was like, really? How did I not qualify? I was shocked, but I guess I never paid that much in gas.
Pulse chain save us, man.
Yeah,
Save
right?
us.
Pulse chain
my gosh.
save us.
Yeah, I tweeted to Richard a while. Gosh, it was about a $600 transaction. This was about a couple months ago, and it was going to cost me $26,000 in gas. This is why we need pulse chain. You know, I mean, it was obviously I didn't do it, but
7
amazing.
Ethereum. Like,
Yeah, that's Ethereum for you.
Crazy.
yeah, dude, that's nuts. That is so nuts.
Crazy.
But gosh, this
Fin-
hadron is interesting. It's my brain is still processing it. I can't wait to read that paper.
Yeah, and shout out to Finbear. It looks like he did his first stream today, so check out Finbear's stream. I think he's a Hexkin with the Hex Foodies channel. I'm definitely gonna check out that tweet by Funding Jim and go through and see where all my permissions are on all my wallets, so that I don't get them ripping me off.
Yeah, Funding Jim was replying to Richard, and it was only a couple hours ago today, and they were talking about this exact problem.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, we're pushing 2 hours here. I think we covered a ton of stuff. I'm actually gonna have to go back and listen to some of the stuff that we went over here. Other than that, Blue Bum, we didn't ask you. Did you get your sacrifice in for the PulseX next?
No, I'm having to wait. I've got a meeting with the Nomad Capitalists in a few days, and I find out how much it's going to cost me to deal with stuff, and so I just need to know how much liquid how much liquid I'll need, kind of thing, before I make a sack. So,
and which pairs do you think are going to do the best on PulseX if you're going to provide liquidity, in your opinion?
I'm thinking of providing hadron ETH on the Ethereum chain, and then when that gets forked over, that will turn that hadron into Pulse and for me, and then that will leave a hadron Pulse floor, essentially, because the bots will be providing the hadron Pulse floor. And so I'm thinking of just leaving that for quite a while, because I think that a lot of people will probably dump hadron at the start, and I'm happy to provide liquidity for that, and just leave it there. Just leave it there and see what it does over the years, collecting those fees along the way. And so I think that's probably a good one. I think that looking at pairs where you don't mind which one you hold, like if you want to, like PulseX, you're probably like, I'll hold both of those. So providing liquidity for that seems like pretty smart, because you don't really care which one you end up with. And it'll probably go up and down over the time, you know what I mean? So like it really depends on your time scale, like, you know. And so I think if you think long term, then PulseX. I really like just straight out staking Hex. That to me is the best return. And so I probably won't put any liquidity in any Hex pools. I'd rather just use the Hexes and stake it.
Yeah. If you did that over the past 2 years, if you did a liquidity providing versus staking Hex is way better than providing liquidity. Way better. Yeah, you're not going to beat 40% per year more coins.
Yeah, and if Hex moons, then you end up losing it all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's
awesome. Well, hey, I want to say thanks to RagstoRiches for being here, the hexiest man in the world. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
David, you're the Federal Reserve that we all rely on for tech information. Blue Bum, you're awesome. You're like Beetlejuice. We just say your name 3 times and you appear. So thank you so much for jumping on short term and letting us know what you've been learning about Hadron. And I like I said at the beginning of this, 2022 is going to be an incredible year for all of us. I'm really excited about what's going on. So as my camera kills out another
overheating
time
again.
Yeah, I'm ghosting you, but from the ether, I just want to say thanks. You guys have a great week, and we're planning on doing this every Sunday that we're available. Right, Feeder?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So join us next Sunday for another Tech Talk. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day, guys.
All right.
See you.
Yeah, everyone.
Bye bye.